Hello and welcome to another episode of the Mastermind, Body, and Spirit Show. I'm your host, Matt Belair. Today's guest's life has been a spiritual journey spanning slightly over 7 decades. His whole life has been a mystical trip in search of gurus, ascended masters, the paranormal, and self-discovery. His autobiography, Warrior, A Spiritual Odyssey, takes us on a life quest for love, understanding, forgiveness, and enlightenment. His follow-up book, Alchemy of a Warrior's Heart, continues that mystical journey, including 4 trips to India for even more profound experiences with holy men, miracles, and his personal relationship with the divine. He is an author, an award-winning poet, international motivational speaker, artist, film advisor, a Vietnam War veteran earning Distinguished Flying Cross, the Bronze Star, the Purple Heart Medal, 14 medals, the Vietnamese Cross of Gallantry, and more. He is the founder and runs Spiritual Warrior Ministries, which is an all-faith chaplain service that provides free help and workshops for the veteran community. He also founded 2 other nonprofits, the American Authors Association and the Military Writers Society of America. Welcome to the show, Reverend Bill McDonald.
Well, that was a mouthful. Let's give you applause for the introduction.
Thanks. I was like running out of breath. I'm dealing with like a weird chest injury too. So as I was reading, I was like, oh, I don't have the same wind that I normally do. But I even had to shorten that. And I was introduced to you by mutual friend Mark Gober.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. Awesome guy. He just released his podcast. So congrats, Mark. And when I got a look at your work, as we were discussing in the beginning, I was like, very interesting. We've had the same idea and how we wanted to experience life, what we were curious about. And you've done a lot of traveling. You've done a lot more living. You've acquired a lot more experiences. And it's so fascinating. So why don't you tell the audience a little bit about yourself and who you are, and then we're going to dive into a lot of things because you've searched for the holy men in India. You told me at the beginning that you went to Babaji's cave. Like, I have to ask you about that. That sounds amazing. That's exactly something I'd be like, if you know where that is, I want to go check it out, because when you show up in person, you can experience a lot more and have a real direct experience for you, separate the fact from fiction, and kind of really test the balance. So I'm going to stop talking and let you introduce yourself, and we'll be off to the races.
Wow. Yeah, I've got 70 some years of experience, but I'm only 25, right? But I started life off very humble. This spiritual journey started off very humble. In fact, if there's anybody listening to this or watching this that has a more humble beginnings of their life, I'd like to know. I will personally put them on the air and greet them and worship them. My mother had 2 kids already, a brother and a sister, and she went to the hospital to give birth, and she told them, I'm ready to deliver, right? And they didn't believe her. They said, oh, no. Before you give birth, we got to give you an enema. And she goes, what? So she goes, no, I'm getting ready to deliver. So anyway, they gave her, to make a long story short, they gave her an enema, and what happens? She really was delivering a baby. So a lot of people are born with silver spoons in their mouth. I was literally born in a depository that you use for the enema, a metal pan. So that's about as humble start as you can start. And I figured after that, everything else is going to be uphill. It's all good. But I spent my whole life as a child, as a young adult, on a quest. And it started when I got out of high school. I graduated high school in June 14th or whatever it was in 1964, if you can imagine that. I know it's probably, you got memories back to that year, right? And I left home. Within 24 hours, I actually left my residence. I said, that's it. I'm leaving. I'm gone. I'm finished. I'm out of here. And I moved to Hawaii. I had a one-way ticket and $40. Now, $40 wasn't a lot of money then either. I mean, hotel rooms were $60. So $40 wasn't going to do you much good. When I got there, I had a dream. I was looking for something. There was a feeling. You follow your feelings, right? And before I left, my little sister was dating some guy. And he says, my grandfather lives in the island. He's a big kahuna. And at the time, I thought he was just using it as a term, like, guy's a big kahuna, like a surfer. No, this guy was really a big kahuna. David K. Bray, Big Daddy. And he says, take this address, anything happens, go see my grandfather. At least you have somebody over there if you have a problem. So I check in the first night at the hotel, didn't know where I was at, Waikiki. And I got enough to pay for some guy to sleep on the floor of his apartment. And I go outside the next day because that's it. I got to find a place to stay now, right? I got no money. And I meet a guy outside and I go, hey, can you tell me where this address is at? It's whatever the address was, Lili Lukohani Avenue. And he thought I was joking. He said, what, are you joking? He said, no, I need this. He says, it's right across the street. It's apartment number 2 right there. It's like 150 feet away. I go, oh. So that was, I met this guy and he was the real deal. He was really a Hawaiian kahuna. Now, if you know anything about the kahuna religion, the closest thing to them spiritual comparison would be a Nath yogi, like in India, up in the Himalayas. And that was pointed out to me by Gurnath, the guru I've met, which we'll talk about a little later. And he pointed out to me when he went to Hawaii, he discovered it as well, that's their beliefs, their chants, their energy used for healing, all their stuff basically was Nath tradition, except wrapped in a different culture. In other words, it wasn't Indian, it was Polynesian, but otherwise it was the same energy flow. So I started off at 18 years old meeting a kahuna. And he was 60-some years old. I was just 18. And I studied under him. He wanted me to be his apprentice. Like, no, I'm looking for somebody. He had thousands and thousands of followers. And he taught me all kinds of interesting, neat stuff. But I didn't want to go there. It wasn't me. It wasn't what I was looking for. And I parted ways, and he died just 3 years later when I was in Vietnam coming back. He died, and I would have had access to all that stuff. But that was what I was looking for. My quest was to become a cult leader. My quest wasn't to become a guru or a kahuna or anything. My quest was for finding my own self-realization. And then if I could find something that was working for me, then I could share it. We were talking before we went on about all these young people out there with no life experiences. They're out there running around telling everybody how to live. They're trying to convert you to their religion. They're on a corner. They're knocking on your door. Here I am. They're 20 years old. They're fresh out of this, whatever it is, seminary. And they're going to tell you whatever religion you got. They don't even ask. But you're wrong. We're right. We're the only ones going to heaven, right? And I'm going, yeah, okay, fine. So the good thing about life, it's like being a cobra snake. As you grow, the only way you stay vital, healthy, and alive is to keep shedding your skin. So what you think you believe and what you know at 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 may no longer be the case when you reach the next plateau. The next plateau could be the next moment from now, because something marvelous and mind expanding, conscious, I shouldn't say mind, let's use consciousness expanding experience. And you realize that all the old paradigms, all the old things that you believed that were real and true, no. So today, people, I know nothing. There's nothing I know for sure except for love. That's the only thing I know. When I feel it, I know it's real. When I give it, I know it's given from the heart. Everything else, I don't know. When I was in India, not many times, but the first time I was in India, when I met this guru, the first time I went to his ashram, so that was like 2009, I was there. It was like there about 3 months. And I went in there being this hotshot guy, I just met this guy, yeah, I know some things, I don't have to ask any questions, I know stuff. And after 3 months sitting around the old sacred fire with him, and one night everybody went to bed, it was just me and him. It was 3 o'clock in the morning, maybe 3:40, just before that 4 o'clock bewitching Shiva hour.
What was his name? What was the person's name?
Yogaraj.
Yogaraj. Okay.
And we're sitting there and he just looks at me and I'm looking at him. I haven't said anything. We're sitting there looking at each other for over an hour. I don't ask nothing. And I finally just kind of smile and I go, Gurnath, because I call him Gurnath too. Nath, Gurnath, Yogaraj, all the same guy. I go, Gurnath. I realize now that I know nothing. I know nothing. And he pats me on the head and says, Beal, now your cup is empty. I can fill it. Let's go to sleep. And we put the fire out, and I went and I thought about that, and I go, yeah, how many of us are walking around with their cup full or half full? You can't get anything new in it. If you're used to drinking Coca-Cola or coffee, that's what you got in there. There's no room for anything new. You got to empty it out. So I went on a quest after Vietnam, which we can talk about another time. And after a lot of life experiences, I retired. I had this thing. I read Autobiography of a Yogi when I was 7, 8 years old, right after a near-death experience. Yeah, the only other person I know that's read that book that young is my grandson, and he's phenomenal. But I read about Babaji's cave and about Babaji, and I had this thing since I was 8, 9 years old. That I'm going to go there. So when I went to Hawaii, I started this story off, and I went to Hawaii indirectly because I wasn't too bright. I thought, well, Hawaii is that much, India is only that much farther around the globe. I was just measuring with my fingers. Hey, I get there, I get it. No. So it didn't work out. Then I went in the military, and I thought, well, I could get there. No, it didn't work out. I bummed around Europe. I thought I could get from Italy. I could cross, by train or something to get to India. It never happened. And then I got married, had kids. No way in the world with the real world career and life, you're going to go to India. Well, when I retired, I said, I'm going to India. And so the first time I went to India was 2004. And I had this concept of what I was going to find. Anybody out there that's read the autobiography, right? And they've studied gurus, and they all have a concept of what it's like. But I'm telling you right now, that if 1 million people go to India, 1 million people have a different experience. I had a guy travel with me, whole different experience. Come away on the whole different state of mind. Wherever you go, you're there. That's the common element. And in order to go someplace, you have to empty the cup, whether it's culture-wise, religion-wise, spirituality-wise, music, whatever it is. You have to empty the cup and just look at everything new, like your child. It's a new experience. Don't judge it. Well, this is like it is. Oh, these toilets are like the ones we got in America, but these aren't. I ain't using these, right? I mean, you compare everything to where you're from. But if you go over to India or anywhere and you don't compare anything, you just accept it for what it is, including people and cultures and religions. Well, then you find that you get immersed not only emotionally, but spiritually into where you're at. And I mean, where you're at becomes a bigger concept because it's really about where you're at. So I got to India and I had this Vietnam vet guy traveling with me, and a nice guy. And we traveled around, and the first day we end up walking around at sunrise because I was in a hurry to see what was going on. I mean, we flew in, we didn't get to the hotel 2 o'clock in the morning. By 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm up. Let's go. We're walking around Delhi. And we come across this park. Sun's coming up, and there's a park, and they got these Sikhs. I think that's the right word I'm looking for. Sikhs with the turbans. And they're in the park, and they're doing all these exercises, yoga. And they're doing this sun stuff, and they're doing recharging exercises. And they stop. They see us, right? And they invite us to come join in and everything. Yeah, okay, great. So we're doing that. And we talked to them afterwards, and it turns out they've been doing this for 25 years, this group. It was called the Blood Society. Yeah, it was like an elite group of poets, writers, politicians, millionaires, industrialist CEOs. I mean, it was the top. It wasn't Joe Blow down the street sweeping the floors. It was the top people. And they've been gathering there every morning during the work week to do this recharging together. And one of the exercises they had was yoga laughing exercises. And they join in, and you laugh. And then I was laughing at them for laughing. And then they were laughing at me for laughing at them. And then it just got infectious and it got crazy. We all have a good time. We're going to get invited to their house, do all that stuff. And then the guy takes out his book. The guy wrote a book, and he says, about the Blood Society. And he says, these are our guiding principles. And there's 10 of them. And I don't remember the exact order, but basically it was, take care of your body, it's a temple. Take care of your family, career, school, education, all these things that read great. It's a great list. It's a great list. Then he read it and he goes, there you go. What do you think is the most important? And so here I go out of the playbook because, being a good guest with some host, you go, well, whatever you have. No, I just go, I have found that the only thing that's important in life is love. You don't have it on your list, but it's the most important thing is love. Without love, health, job, family, career, education mean nothing if there's no love. And this guy got so upset because I didn't pick something off his list, right? He's going, wow. He grabs the book, right? And then he yells it at me like if he yells it loud, then I'd understand. It makes it perfectly clear, right? Let me tell you, right? So, and I'm just sitting there shaking my head, and my friend's going, oh God, we've been here, 2 hours in India, and you already ticked off all the movers and shakers in Delhi. So what are we gonna do for an encore, right? So all of a sudden they all walked away on me. He dropped the book, he left. I go, wow. My friend just goes, I said, no. I said, I know love is the only thing that's important and he didn't have it on his list, nowhere. It's love. So 3 weeks later, as we're traveling around India, we went up to the Golden Temple, by Pakistan, and then we started to go into Kashmir, and then we finally end up in the Himalayan mountains, way up there. We ended up someplace I don't even know where it was at, but there was snow on the mountains, and this was October, but there was snow in the mountains, right? And all of a sudden we're walking up this mountain because I'm a poet too. I write poetry books as well, and I had this thing when I was young that someday I'm gonna eat the snow from the Himalayan mountain peaks, right? I didn't care if it was yellow or not. Come on, just give me some of that snow, right? So I go up there, my friend goes, you're crazy. So I hike up this mountain. I get to the snow, and I'm eating the snow. And I says, desire satisfied. That's it, right? And we look up there, and there's mountains of dark black clouds with lightning. And this major storm's coming into the Himalayas, right? So we got to get the heck out of there. So we get down there, and everybody's scurrying for their cars, and rain's coming down. And we get in the car. We have a driver. We're driving out of there, and we're driving down this road. Pretty soon we come to this, when I say old temple in India, because you've been to that part of the world, old is defined by what you consider. Old in this case was the year 900 or something, right? Because there's a lot of old, I didn't find any new temples, but old temples everywhere, right? But this temple is really old. It appeared to be a Shiva temple. And there was a lot of people walking back and forth there and everything. And it was ugly. It wasn't really beautiful. There was no tourist signs up, or it wasn't even in the book. And I told my friend, I said, let's get the driver stop here. We're going to go to this temple. And he goes, wait a minute. You're taking me to 55 temples already. This is the worst. It's raining. You know what? We have to go to this temple. I just knew I had to go to that temple. So we get out and we're walking across the temple grounds. And I'm wearing a different hat. I got a brown Indiana Jones kind of hat. I got Levi's, and I got a shirt, and I got a walking stick, kind of like back there on the wall. And I'm walking across this thing with my sandals, totally out of place with everybody else in this courtyard. It's cobblestone courtyard. And off in the corner of this courtyard, under this little roof, is a bunch of wandering sadhus. At the time, I didn't know exactly who they were, but from their hairstyles and other people that talked to me, they were not yogis, but I didn't know at the time. I thought they were just a bunch of dirty beggars, drug addicts. They were smoking stuff and kind of, eyes watering. And so this one guy stands up and I was told he was a guru, and I'm going, oh yeah, he's the guru. He had a Nike jacket on. It had a swoosh on it. It was orange. Loincloth, and sandals. And he goes, American Babaji, come. And I'm going, first off, I was insulted. He called me Babaji. And then the guy, my driver says, no, Babaji is, description of an old man, old spiritual man. It's a lot of people call that. Okay, because to me, there's one Babaji. That's the guy I was looking for. So, but I wasn't happy with that. And he goes, come. And I go, no. He goes, no, come. My friend goes, come on, let's go over there. When Rome, go do what the Romans are doing. So I walk over there, and they're passing around what looks like a peace pipe. It's big, huge. Cheek and Chong would have loved it, right? It was like about yay long, and it was a big hole. It had some kind of grassy stuff in there, some kind of plant that was burning. And these guys were, and they've been doing this for 3 days outside this temple, right? And they were just, and I'm going, oh my God. So it comes around, my friend goes, well, I'll try it, Oh, that's good stuff, right? He said something else, but this is G-rated, right? So, and I don't take that, because I had this whole argument going with him from the beginning of the trip. In fact, before then was, drugs don't make you spiritual. Oh yeah, look at shamans and all the, give you all the examples. And I go, no, those are tools, but it's a handicap. It's always a handicap. It's always artificial. You should be able to reach these states naturally, organically, just through love. Oh, no, okay. Anyway, so he's smoking this stuff. We're there about an hour listening to this gobbledygook. I mean, these guys are talking stuff. And at the time, I thought it was all crazy talking. He goes, oh, there's just nature spirits all around us. Yeah, okay, great. And then the sun god, and Neptune god. And I go, what is this? He's just going on about all this stuff. I'm just going, I had never been exposed to this stuff before. I'm just going, yeah, okay, fine. And then he looks at me, and I look at him, and I'm going, I'm on a journey. I'm looking for something. I don't have all day. I said, well, you want to get arrogantly, right? I go, you want to lay on something? Give me some advice. Give me some of your wisdom. What do you got? What pearls you got to give me before I leave? And before he could talk, one of the guys that was around the campfire, whose eyes were rolling around, and he had the hair looking like he belonged in Jamaica, right? Like he was with a singing group in Jamaica, with the braids and everything. And he goes, Guruji, let me, and he could hardly speak English. It was terrible English. And the Guruji goes, okay, you tell him. And I'm thinking, God's having a laugh on me. I come all the way to find the guru on the mountaintop for the ultimate advice, right? Like all the cartoons, right? The Om and all that. And I get this guy doped up on dope, right? And he's going to tell me the secret of life, right? And I'm thinking, so I look at the guru and I said, okay, I'm ready. This will make a good story, if nothing else, right? So this guy gets up and he almost falls into the fire pit. He's just staggering around, eyes going. And then he opens his mouth and he delivers to me the exact words in perfect English that I spoke back in Delhi to those people. He came out and said, love is the most important thing. Job, career, health. He went down the whole list. It was exactly word for word what I had told those men that morning, my first morning in India. Exactly. And he threw it right back. He parroted right back to me. And I'm going, what? I must have been saying about 500 whats, because I was just going, what? I didn't know what to say. Had he said anything else, I go, yeah. But he gave me my argument right in my face. And I'm going. And at that point, I realized, because it's my first 3 weeks in India, it's going to be an unusual trip, number one, and that you can't really tell a saint and a sage from just anybody. God's in all. You can't judge because he's got dirty fingernails and he can't speak English. He's got ashes all over him and he's got crazy talk. You can't judge him. I had no clue at that time. It destroyed a paradigm. Because I thought, I'm going to meet this guru. He's going to have the white beard. He's going to have long hair. He's going to speak like he went to Cambridge. He's going to have wisdom. He's going to have clean. His body's going to be clean. His mind's going to be clean. And that's it, right? That's what I'm looking for. And I get this, and I'm going, what? So we're leaving. Actually, before we got there, just a little forward, before we got there, our driver, we hired a driver, and and I wanted him to take me to Babaji's cave. But first we ended up this other part, and then we're going to go to Babaji's cave. And so he had to stop someplace. He had to stop at a temple to the elephant god. Who's the elephant guy? You know that stuff. I don't know that stuff.
It's like Ganesh,
Yeah.
Ganesha. I don't know which one's right.
There you go. There you go.
Like
That's
Ganesh. It's an extra syllable for Ganesha.
We'll vote for him.
Yeah.
So we're in a hurry, right? We're trying to get going because it's getting dark, right? We got to get up to, go in this place. And he goes, no, we have to be safe on the road. I got to stop at this temple. So he goes in there and we're laughing at him, of course. Yeah, okay, great. Get in the car and we're driving down the road. Now it's dark. In India, they don't have cyclone fences and barriers that keep people off the freeway. Cows wander on the freeway, elephants, people, bicycles, pedestrians, kids, wild animals, domestic. It doesn't. You go down a freeway at 60 miles an hour. Our driver's he's going 110 or 115 kilometers an hour, or whatever that is. That's got to be at least over 60, right? So, and I'm sitting in the what would be the driver's seat in this country because they drive on the other side. So he's on the right side. And I'm looking there, and all of a sudden in front of us is this sadhu with the white hair, the white beard, big ass saucer eyes, couple of earrings. And I'm looking at all this, taking an inventory, realizing he's no more than 10 yards in front of us. Like a football field, you go 5-10 yards. That's all it is 10 yards in front of us. And we're going 60 plus miles an hour. And I'm having all these thoughts and analyzing like it's all in slow motion. And he stops and he looks at us, doesn't move. And we're barreling forward and we're going to impale him. He's going to be impaled right on the grill of this car. We're going to smash the windows and so I'm saying a prayer to Babaji to protect this guy. And of course, our driver, he's calling out to Ganesh, right? So it must have been a minute, but in reality it was like a tenth of a second. And we're right on him. And we drive through him. And we slam on the brakes, we turn around. And in the darkness, we see him walking across the rest of the freeway. He just went from front of us to back of us and walked away. And we're going. So India, it's unusual. All right. That's just, when you take a trip to Babaji's cave, these kind of things get your attention because it's like, oh, that's different. That's unusual. So we're trying to find Babaji's cave, and apparently it's not mapped out. A lot of people know if you belong to Self-Realization Fellowship or YSS or Ananda, one of those organizations, a lot of people know where it's at. You could probably get direction. I belong to Self-Realization Fellowship. Nobody was telling me nothing. All I knew was the general area was, because I read the book, I know it's in this town. And, so I get our driver to find the YSS ashram, which is the YSS is like Self-Realization Fellowship in the United States, or in Canada, it's SRF. It's Yogananda's organization, and he actually founded YSS, which is the Indian version of that. And so I figured that out. I go, oh, that's good stuff. So that's their ashram. They got to know something, right? So I go there, find out that not only do they know, but they have the keys to the cave door and to the Babaji temple. And they're the keepers of this. And it's within 45, 50 minutes away. So I go, well, this is great. And the guy goes, well, I was talking to the Swami there, and he goes, well, that's true. But this time of year, everybody's going to Ranchi for a convocation, and everybody's gone. I'm the last to go, and I'm leaving soon. And there's nobody around that can take you there. You can't find it on your own. It's too hard. You can't even find the road to start it. And I said, no. I said, I've waited almost 59 years to get here to see this. I said, I ain't leaving until I see it. He says, well, we'll talk in the morning. So I spent the night at the ashram, and it was in the Himalayas. It was cold. I was in October, late October. And I was in this room that had a wood bunk, wood, not a mattress, wood. And I put a blanket under me, and I put 10 blankets on top of me because the windows were screened. There was no closing the windows with, glass. It was screened, and it was like 20 degrees in the morning. So I took an ice cold bath from a bucket. And instead of complaining, I'm going, well, this is kind of cool. This is the real experience. This is not staying at the 5-star Ritz. This is getting up in the morning, turn on a faucet, making sure it's not frozen, fill up a bucket of water that's like ready to freeze, wash yourself, cleanse yourself, then go down and have a breakfast of a potato and a spoon of rice with some tea. Hey, that's the real deal, right? So I go down there, and then I told the Swami, I said, no, I want to go. He says, come into the office. I go in the office, and he gets out this scrap piece of paper. He has something typed on the other side. He turns it over, takes a pen, and he chicken scratches some directions. He says, well, you go down this road here, 40 minutes, maybe 50, maybe 45. Yeah, something like that. And then you'll see a little side road that goes left, kind of. But you have some other ones to do, but don't ignore them. This is the instruction, but ignore those other ones. But you'll know the right one when you get there. And then you drive down that till you can't go any farther, get out, and then walk, and then you'll see a sign that says up the hill, and then you follow the sign. Can you find it? And he gave me the scratch, and just scratches. I didn't mean nothing. I said, of course. And he says, okay, I only got one rule. Be back before 5:30 when I close. Otherwise, I'm locking you out. I locked the gates to the ashram. I said, okay. This is early in the morning. So I tell my driver, and he looks at me like, okay, you're paying for my time, right? That's okay. So we drive, and I go about 50 minutes, and I pull off, and then we stop, and we drive, and then we walk, and all of a sudden we come, and there's like 10 cattle trails going up this mountain. There is a sign. It's about 30 feet away on the ground. You can't see which trail it was part of. Somebody picked it up and threw it away. So we knew it was one of those. So we started up this trail. Now, I was sick. This was my 3rd week in India at this time. And I had dysentery or whatever. And whatever was going in was coming out. Even if stuff wasn't going in, it was still coming out. And I was sick. I had lost 26 pounds in 3 weeks. And I was also having brain seizures, epilepsy, and I had a heart condition. I was having heart attacks, which I didn't even know at the time. I had my first heart attack in Machu Picchu, but that's another story. Anyway, so I'm having heart attacks. And I'm walking up to saying we're lost. And we're walking. And it's high elevation. And we didn't bring food, didn't bring water, didn't bring a jacket, didn't bring a flashlight, didn't bring matches, nothing. We're just going to go for this day stroll and come back, right? It's hours. It's about 4 hours. It's supposed to take about an hour and a half to get up there. We're just about ready to give up. And then finally we look up at the top and we see a temple. It's a Babaji temple. So we finally make it up there, and we got the key. We unlock the door. We go inside. I'm laying on the floor, and there's this huge portrait of Babaji. Now, for those people who watch this, don't know who Babaji, if they read Autobiography of a Yogi, then they know that Babaji is this great avatar. Some, especially those around Mount Shasta, they believe that he's a ascended master. I believe he's more than all that. There's something even greater beyond that. But it doesn't matter what you think. Babaji's Babaji. And so the picture was it was life-size. It was up there. It was just beautiful. And I get there, and I'm laying there, and my heart's going boom, 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 boom. And I'm out of breath, and I'm sweating. And so we meditate. I said, no, the cave's another 100 yards. I want to meditate, and I want to rest before I go to the cave. So we meditate for a half hour. Got my breath back, and I climbed the last little part to the cave. Now, the cave, unfortunately in India, they had to put a jail door on it to keep vandals out, because they were going and chipping away rocks and selling rocks. A rock for Babaji's cave, with all, and graffiti and all this stuff. It's real shame, but even sacred places need to be protected. So I get there. We're all alone. Usually when people go to this place, there's a tour group, and it's been guided up there. We're just me and my buddy. And since he knows how important it was to me, he let me go in first. We go in this cave. We sit on the floor. There's some mats in there. Now, before I left for India, I realized that I may never go back again. This may be my once and only time to really be there. I wanted to make the most of it. But I also knew that it was friends of mine and enemies of mine and people that I knew in my life that would never go there. And I wanted them to have this spiritual experience with me. So I went on Word and I typed up this 3-page list, typed on both sides, printed on both sides, small, like 10 or 12 Disha, right? I had hundreds of names on 3 sheets of paper of everybody that I wanted to be a part of my journey to India. And when I got in the cave, and some of them were bad bosses I had, some were relatives, some were people that I fought against in the war. I just remembered them. Family, friends from high school, from college, from the military, from Self-Realization Fellowship, from Ananda, from wherever they were. People I met, beggars. I remembered them. I put the beggar I met at a certain time and place. Just, I didn't even have to I figured Babaji would know. The person I helped, so-and-so, the person that needed help, the crazy guy I met, whatever it was. That's what I had down this list. So if you found the list, you go on. Because I just have first names, nicknames, or a description. And I took the list out, and I mentally read every single name there and offered it to Babaji to bless. Took a long time. It was a long time. I eventually took that list. I'll skip ahead a little bit. I eventually took that list with me to 3 very sacred spots on the Ganges. And the last spot on the Ganges, I went out on the river at sunrise, read the list, took out a match, and I ignited it and burned it till it was ashes, then let the lead ash go. And the ashes floated at sunrise on the Ganges. So that list of names I consecrated on the Ganges. But there in Babaji's cave, it was important to me that I share this emotional, spiritual moment with these people. So my friend says, yeah, we got to go. We got to be back. We're lost. We got to figure out how to get out of here. I said, okay. So him being not the smartest man in the world, I'll say that because he trusted me to bring us back. I'm the guy that got us lost going there. And now he's telling me to take us back, right? I'm having a seizure. My head is kind of out there. Plus, I'm having some kind of spiritual experience at the same time. Plus, my heart is just pounding. If you looked at my shirt, you could see, it was majorly something going on. So we're walking, and pretty soon we're more lost than we ever were. And that time of day, the shadows from these 17, 18, 20,000 feet mountains that are around us, it doesn't take much to block the sun if you're close to it, right? You're in the shadows of the valley there. And so it's getting cold. Oh, shit, we got to get out of here. We can't be out here in the dark, right? So my friend goes, okay, come on. So I'm standing there, and there's a 30-foot cliff. And it didn't go straight down. It went down about 10 feet, then it kind of ledged, and then it went down another 10 feet. So it was kind of like sloped, hit a little ledge, and then sloped, but it was like 30 feet. So it was like 3 drops at 10. And I'm standing there, and all of a sudden, my head is spinning. My heart it's bursting. It's just like, and I'm blacking out. And I just go, boom. And I bounce down the hill. And my friend looks down there, and there I'm laying on a boulder about the size of a Volkswagen Bug. And I'm looking up at the sky. And I just staring at the sky. And it was like, you watch The Simpsons, the cartoon, The Simpsons and the clouds part. It's exactly what it was. Because I'm thinking that when I'm laying there, The Simpsons, oh, this is cool, right? And then I find myself drifting. And then I look down and I'm there. I'm looking at my body. I'm not breathing. There's no pulse. I'm freaking dead laying on this boulder. And I'm going, but I've been to Babaji's cave. Ain't all that bad. It's only death, right? I've been to Babaji's cave. That's a good time to go, right? And then I looked down there, and coming out of the grass was this large. And I say large because when a cobra crawls over you, there's a party that always says, yes, that's large. It's not small. So there was this large, because I never saw the full length of the body. It was coming out of the grass. It went over my feet, and then it went into the grass. So and it just kept slithering. I never saw the beginning and the end of it. So it starts slithering over it, and I'm watching this. And all of a sudden I get excited for this cobra. And then it was like, clear, chunk, jumpstart me, and I jump up off the rock. And what do I try to do? I'm grabbing on the snake's tail, and I'm slipping through my hands. I mean, the tail, this thing's like, it's a big one. I mean, it's a big one. Of course, if you'd listen to my wife, I think the first time I told the story, it was a 7-footer. And then by the time I told it, after about 4 or 5 years, it was like, it's a 12-foot king cobra. But in honesty, I don't know how big it was, but it was big, right? It was bigger than my imagination. Well, nothing's that big. But anyway, so I chase it. I get up. I was just dead. And all of a sudden I'm up and I'm chasing the snake and it's slithering through the grass and I'm following it.
What like jolted you? Do you know? Was it just something jolted you back to life?
It was like electricity. It
Just
was literally what I say, like getting, the 2 paddles on you from the fire department,
yeah.
like a defibrillator. It was a jolt of light and energy in my spine. It was like, and everything got going again. It was like, it just, my eyes open, everything. It was crazy, but it wasn't fear. It was love for the cobra. I come out not fearful. I come out loving it. So I chased it and it's wandering down this path. And all of a sudden there's this little waterfall that's about 7, 8 foot, maybe 9 foot tall. Just a small trickling one. Not in any maps, no tourists. But I'm looking at that and I'm seeing this cobra go right through the waterfall and back of it, a little cave. Not much of a cave, but big enough for a snake. And I'm remembering, my mind is bringing this up in my mind. I'm remembering at that moment, just into my mind, autobiography of a yogi. When he writes about Babaji's cave, and Larry Masha has this experience where he materializes this golden palace. When it was all done, Babaji told him, go down to the river, the creek, whatever it was, and wash up. And there's a little waterfall in the creek, and he washes up and he waits for the sunrise. And that's the story that came to me. And I'm going, can this be is this where it happened? Of course, my imagination says yes. I have no clue. I don't know if anybody knows where it was at, but I look at that, and that was a thought that came to me. I mean, I'm just a minute or two from death, right? And then I come back, and that's the thought I have, and it's like, wow. So my friend comes, it takes him a while to come on down. He has to finally gets down and says, that's it, you're not leading anymore. I'm leading. We're following this creek down. Creeks always go to a valley. It always goes to a town. We'll find some. We finally get down to some farmer's house. A couple of farm kids, we gave them some money. They helped take us to our car. And we get on the road and we're driving back. And we got to be back by 5:30, remember? 5:30. So we pull up. The Swami's out there. He's got the keys in the lock. It's 5:29, man. He's getting ready to lock it. And he smiles at us getting out of the car, right? And he goes, did you find the cave? And he had that smile like he knew more than he should, right? And I go, yeah. And then I told him the whole story. I said, not only when I fell down that mountain, it had something like poison oak there. So I had this rash all over. I had welts. When I say all over, just accepted it all over. I mean, it was all over. Any place you sweat, it was there. I had welts. And my shirt was torn up, and I had dirt and mud on everything. And I had scratches. And I was happier than hell. I mean, I was just like, and I'm telling the whole story about everything going wrong and all that stuff. And so this woman from Alaska, of all places, not too far from you, right? Just 3,000, 4,000 miles away from you, right? So this woman from Alaska who was visiting the ashram there, she interrupts my story with the Swami. She says, don't you know what they say about that going to Babaji's cave? And I'm going, I'm telling a story. She kept interrupting me. I said, okay, what do they say about those who go to Babaji's cave? She says, it is told that those who have the most arduous journey to Babaji's cave have the greatest blessing. And then the Swami just smiled and shook his head and walked away. She walked away, and I'm standing there with my buddy going, by definition, I'm thinking, who's gone to Babaji's cave, had a heart attack, a brain seizure, diarrhea, all these other things happening, come back from death? I would say, yeah, that was probably an arduous journey, right? By any stroke of any imagination, right? So I left there, and we finally went to the desert. and we were riding camels, which was a lot of fun. We rented a couple camels, and we just went out riding camels in the desert with this guy and camped and slept in the sand. Came back, and we met at this hotel, a bunch of Germans. And these Germans go, hey, you got to go to this place, right? You got to go. And they didn't know the name of it because they couldn't translate it from English to German and whatever. And they just said, we call it Sacred Monkey Pond place. I said, okay. And they kind of gave, you got to go here, you got to go there. And they didn't really know, but they gave some, once again, those strange directions. So I told my driver, I said, we can find it. And he's looking at me, no, we'll find it. So we ended up finding this place. It was like from an Indiana Jones movies. There's like these 1,500-foot canyon walls with about 50 yards, maybe 75 yards, maybe 100 yards between them. And they got temples built in the sides of them. And you're walking through these temples on the side. And then at the end of it, there's steps that go up to another plateau where there's all these monkeys and a pond where people go to splash the water to get healed and all that stuff. And the monkeys steal everything. So I'm up there and I'm watching the monkeys. And all these people splash themselves. And this guy goes, you got to go see the sun god. He's up top of the hill. I go, the sun god. Come on, he's always great guru. He's a sun god, sun guru. And I said, and my friend goes, well, might get good pictures up there. He was got his camera. I said, okay, but I says, I've been all over India. I said, I don't pay for blessings. If he starts putting a string around my hand or giving me something, I ain't paying for it. He wants to give it to me, great. But I've been in India by then long enough to know that everybody's out for something, right? They don't give you nothing, right? Oh, bless you. Yeah, okay, now it's $10. You're American, right? So no, I don't go for that. So we're going up the hill, and we see this. It's an open temple. It's like a gazebo. You got a top, a couple of marble columns, a roof on it with tile, cement or tile bottom foundation, and it's all open. And he's up there like this, watching us. He's a couple miles away. And he's watching us walk up this road. And I'm watching him watch us, right? And I go, I know he's watching us. And so we get up to the top, and he's standing there, and he goes, American Babaji, come. And I go, what's this American Babaji stuff again? And by now he says, okay. He says, come, I have something for you. And I go, no. He goes, no, I have something for you. I said, I don't buy nothing. I don't pay for nothing. If you want to give me something, you give it to me. He says, I made these myself. And he had these flower lays that he'd done from the wildflowers around there. And he put one on each of us and blessed us, right? And I said, I didn't give you anything. He says, okay. Now, this guy looked like, and here's what's funny. Every time I tell the story, I have a vision in my mind of a guy with long white hair, white beard, short earrings, big bulgy eyes, staunchy, But I know if I dug up pictures someplace, he probably didn't look like that. But all these guys I ran into all looked like that same guy. It was like in my memory. But I know pictures won't back it up. It's like my logical mind says, no, these guys didn't look like that. But when I was writing my books and when I'm telling the stories, that image is in my mind. So it's not reality. So we go up there, we get blessed. We're going down the hill, and the guy he doesn't do this, that's Catholic, but he kind of does whatever the Indian equivalent is to that, right? So he kind of does whatever blessing with his hands. And we get down the hill, and this little sadhu's following me. He's just got a loincloth. And he's barefoot, I think. And he's following me. He's trying to grab my feet. He's trying to grab my feet. He's trying to grab my feet. I stop. And he goes, American Babaji, you got to teach me meditation. You got to teach me. I said, look, I'm not your guru. No, I dreamt, I know about you, whatever, I said, okay. Gave him a bottle of water, and I said, okay, I'll give you a real simple technique. I think I showed him Om or Hong Saw technique or just something really simple. I said, you do this with great faith and intention. Somebody will take you to the next advanced level. Do this faithfully, and you'll give the next step, right? So he thanked me and wanted to follow. I go, that's it. Now you got to go away. Bye. Right? I don't want all these people following me in India, right? So we go down the hill and we come to, remember my fast station with cobras, right? So we come to this courtyard where the monkeys are at again. And there's this Indian woman with this basket, a large weaved basket. And the top is off. And she's got a little piece of bamboo like this, and she's banging the basket. And of course, there's 6, 7, 8, 9 snakes, whatever it is. All these bodies are getting angry, and they're all coming up. And I went over there, and I'm looking at them, and I'm going, first off, you know, in India, a lot of them are defanged, or, you know, they take the venom. She had 2 or 3 that she didn't bother defanging. They had the fangs. There was a couple that didn't, but there was 2 or 3 that had fangs still on them. Whether they had venom or not, I don't know, but I didn't analyze that. I went over there. My concern was that she was beating the basket with these guys, and I thought that was wrong. And I walked right up to the basket. My knees were touching the basket. And next thing I know, I'm standing 1 foot over the basket, 1 foot over the other side. And these cobras are coming up between my crotch. Little heads are bouncing up, right? You know, with their hoods. They're angry, right? And I'm yelling at her and swinging my arms. So I'm not doing any soft talk, no movements. I'm doing everything you don't do, right? I'm moving, I'm talking, I'm yelling. I'm telling her to leave them alone. And then this one comes up right between my legs, right about belt high. I just grabbed it by the middle of its body. And I'm got this. I'm talking to her like this, go and holding it. Going, you don't do this. You don't treat these animals that way. I'm doing that, and there's like 3 foot of it, 3, 4 foot here, and 2 or 3 feet this way, right? And then I hold it like this, and next thing you know, on my eyelash, I'm getting one of those butterfly kisses. It's going. It's the tongue of the cobra, and I look over, and it's like 1.5 inches, 2 inches away from my eyeball with the fangs. And I see the fangs. My friend is like, he's freaked out. He's 30 feet away. I mean, he's 30 feet away. And I'm telling him, take a picture. He wouldn't even take any pictures. He says, they might be spitting cobras. So anyway, so I got pictures of holding a cobra, but not when they're doing the good stuff right now. Anyway, regret. But I'm looking at that, and I just start staring at it. And I know this sounds crazy, because telling the story, even I look at it and say, that was crazy. But I was in love with the snake. And not only the snake, but what was in it. And my mind's and in my spirit, my energy was going inside of it. I was finding myself drawn inside this cobra's throat into the darkness. And for minutes, the cobra and I were I was one with this darkness inside of him. And it felt like love. It felt like love. It was a oneness. Even though the rest of the snakes were going crazy down in between my legs, everything. And this guy was just like that. And then the snake started wrapping its tail and body around me until it wrapped all the way around my neck. 2, 3, 4 times, whatever it took. And then it came out like this. And it just stood there like that, staring at me. And I'm going, wow, man. I mean, that's just so beautiful. And then, of course, the lady goes, you owe me money. You owe me money. You're touching my snakes, right? So I paid her. But it was like, it was a moment that I know intuitively, if you ever have the opportunity, you would do the same thing as me. You would know this is the thing to do. I don't know why, but I think you would do it because you'd feel that oneness. If you were scared, you'd get bit in the eye. If you were hesitant, nervous, they'd feel that. They'd bite you in the eye. Even if the thing didn't have any poison, even if they had milked it, and got rid of the venom, an eyeball bite would hurt with a cobra hanging on your eyeball. It would be painful. Right? So it was a beautiful experience. So we left there, and I'm just kind of floating, right? And we get back in the car. The next day, the driver goes, where do you want to go, Bill? Billy, where do you want to go? And my friend goes, no. He pulls out all these maps that he'd been studying, and he had magic markers, and he's sitting there with the magic markers, and he's doing all this stuff in yellow highlights. I want you to drive here. Somebody, I want you to turn here. I want you to go to this temple. And he lined it up and said, that's the path I want you to find. I want to be at this place by that time. And the guy, of course, in India, they all kind of shake their head. You don't know if they're shaking yes or no. You know what I'm talking about. They kind of do that. Shake. I don't know if it's yes or no, but my friend goes, okay, he understands, right? So he's sitting in the back seat. We're driving. Pretty soon, he's checking his maps, and he goes, you're not going where, you're not following the directions. He says, He didn't say nothing, right? The guy just keeps driving. So now my friend's getting afraid, like, maybe this guy's a terrorist. He's going to take us someplace, we don't know, and all this stuff, right? And he turns around, and my friend's going, Dave's just going, no, 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 no. He's getting mad. I'm sitting in the front seat, and he goes, Bill, I'm taking you where you're supposed to go. How can I turn that down, right? So I said, okay, wherever you go, I haven't been, so it doesn't make any difference, right? Never been to this part of the Rajasthan out in the desert. I've never been there before. And he ended up going over this hill. We ended up going in the middle of this desert was an oasis. It had palm trees, monkeys, of course. And it had this Jain temple. Is it Jane or Jan? Is it Jane?
I think it's Jane, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know.
I've heard of both. And I'm an ignoramus, so I don't know. But anyway, so I go in there, God forgives me. So we get there, and there's all these tourist buses there. Gee, I look at tourists in there, And there was a tourist bus from France or Germany or something, Europeans. And there's 2 bus loads. And they're all walking around taking pictures, and people in their shorts, with their cannons. And I go in there, take my shoes off, and of course, the Indiana Jones hat, T-shirt. And I walk in there, and all of a sudden, in the middle of this crowded floor of this temple, where they got 200 and some columns that are all carved marble with, gods or elephants or cobras and all kinds of animals and things. I mean, it's a work of art. But I see this guy in kind of a saffron color. I don't even know what color that is. Anyway, it was kind of like, it wasn't orange. It was maybe yellow, but it was some kind of off color robe. And he's kind of running towards me, but he's like a football player. He's going between all these, or maybe like a hockey player. You're from Canada, right? He's kind of taking the puck to me, right? So he's kind of weaving. So he finally gets to me, and he got all these other Westerners there, right? He throws his arms around me, and he goes, "Welcome home, brother." I go, "Welcome home." He goes, "Welcome home. I've been waiting for you. I knew you'd return. Come with me." Okay, great. In India, I go, okay, what's the con job here? Was he want money? What's everybody's got a scam, right? So I'm a little edgy, okay. So we go up there, and we're sitting at the altar, and he burns some incense, and he burns candles, and he starts chanting, like Om Shanti, Om, whatever it is. I don't even know what he's doing. But he tells me, repeat what I do. I said, okay, I'll just parrot it. I don't know what I'm doing. Place gets dead silence. All those 2 bus loads of people are standing in a big circle around us going. And they're watching us, 2 guys down on their knees with this guy doing this ritual. And it's so peaceful, right? It's just beautiful, right? The ritual gets through, and he tells my friend, he goes, your friend wants to take pictures. Oh, yeah, he wants to take pictures. So he gives him another monk. He calls the guy over and takes this young monk, takes him around. So he takes all the pictures he wants. Go with him. He says, you come with me. He says, I'll give you a private tour. And when you watch these Indiana Jones movies or all these old movies, whether it's Tarzan in the Jungle or, The Librarian, whatever movie you're watching that's in the adventure, they always have secret doors, secret passageways, right? Always. And I thought, that'd be cool to find something like that. So he takes me back there and moves around. He touches this wall, and the wall goes, shh, opens up. Walk inside, it's a whole room. So, it's a special worship, sacred place and everything. And then behind it, there's stairs carved in, going to the roof. Anyway, so we're sitting down there, and he asked me, he says, you got to help me. And I'm going, what do you mean help you? Aren't you this guy? He says, yeah, I'm in charge of several temples. He's like some kind of like a cardinal. I guess if it was Catholic, it'd be cardinal. He's in charge of like a bunch of temples. I mean, he was like the big guy. And I said, I'm just this dumb old man from America. And he says, no, I know you are. I want you to show me how to do Kriya Yoga. I want you to show me how to do this. And what does this mean? And what does that mean? So I spent an hour instructing this guy, and I'm going, I'm getting ripped off. I'm going to India to find somebody to give me something, and everywhere I'm going, I'm giving. I'm not getting. It's like, it was driving me crazy, right? So so I go through this whole thing, and then I said, okay, you can do something for me now. He says, okay. I said, I got some grandkids. I told them their names, and I got one on, and I may have some in the future, but I want you to chant and give a blessing to him. He says, okay. So he reaches into his pocket and he takes out this little velvet pouch, kind of like if you go to a liquor store and you buy those whiskeys that got the little velvet pouch around them. That's what it looked like. It could have been, who knows, but it was like with the strings and everything. So he opens it up and he takes out a handful of gemstones, white, blue, green, yellow, red. I mean, I'm looking at them. They're not cut, edge really cool, but they look like the real deal, uncut. And he takes them, he puts them in his fist, and then he puts his fist on his head, and he starts going, Om Shanti, and he's give out their names. And when I turn around and look out down the hallway, where his direction his chant is going, it's like when you're driving across the desert or hot pavement, and you look down the road and there's wavy lines from the evaporation or the heat waves, except it wasn't heat waves. The energy was making the air wavy, just like heat waves on a desert. It was like, I go, wow. And that's where he was directing the energy to. And I'm going, okay, that's fine. So me and my friend, and my friend came, I took him to the roof. We meditated on the roof. Meditating on a temple roof is one of the greatest things. That's something that I do when I go around the world. I did this at the Notre Dame before it caught fire. Back in early 1960s, I climbed out a window at the Notre Dame and went up onto the buttress and spent 4 hours and meditated on the rooftop. You can't do that. They'd think you're a terrorist now. But all these temples I go to, I always find a way to get on the temple roof, which I don't consider sacrilege. Some people may. But I get all the energy of the place. It just draws it. It feels right. Anyway, so it felt right on the roof. So we come back down, and this guy wants us to stay. He wants me to stay forever. You can stay as long as you want. He goes, it's your temple. I go, what do you mean it's your temple? No, this is your temple. Basically, he's trying to tell me that I built this or something. It's your temple. You're my brother. And I said, well, this lifetime, I got a family, I got a life. I need to go, and I will not see you again. He says, oh, not this lifetime, but you will see me again. I said, okay, fine. So we leave. And so here's our different journeys. Now, my friend, we leave, we get back in the car, and my friend gets down to basically verbally beating up the driver, saying, what were you doing? You took us this place. And I'm trying to tell him the beautiful story of what happened. And it was like, next 3 days, that's all I could think about was that. So now we go to this little town in the desert. We're driving into the town, and you've probably been there. I'm trying to think. Pitcar, trying to think of the name of this place. It's got a little lake in the middle of it, and it's got the town all the way around it. It'll come to me.
I know Pokhara in Nepal, but I haven't been to India yet, but okay. I'd like to go.
This is it's a little city. In the middle of the city, they got this water. It's not very big. And the temples all face into it and everything, but you can't see it from the outside. There's streets and businesses. You wouldn't even know it's there. You could go down an alley and, oh, there's a lake back here. So when you come into the town, the game they got there in this town is they got these assistants out there, right? You come into town, he gives you a flower. He says, take this flower. I said, I'm buying no flowers. Oh, no. This is it's a gift. It's free. Well, there's nothing free in India, right? It's free. You go to the lake, and then you throw it in the lake and get blessed. That's tradition. I said, okay, fine. So we go to the town. We find our way into the inside of the temple. I got the flower. And of course, everybody's looking at me as I'm walking around the flower because everybody knows the joke in the town, right? Yeah, you're going to get hit on by these priests in there and you have to pay money, right? I mean, there's another dumb Westerner come with the flower, right? Yeah, I mean, it was. Anyway, so we walk in there, and these two guys come at my buddy and me, and they're going to show us how to do this and help us get blessed. I said, I don't need you to bless me. And I don't need to pay you to bless me. I don't pay for blessings. Wow, So my friend ends up paying the other guy, and he goes, your friend paid, you should pay. And I go, no, I don't pay. Because in the beginning of the thing, he told me, oh, no, we're doing this free. And then as soon as he was halfway through, then he wanted the money, right? Of course, that was the same. I knew that we was going there. So I refused to pay. He made a big stink. He was going to call the cops. He was going to get his buddies to beat us up. I said, go, do it. So I left there and I went back into the town itself. And the point of this story is unpaid for blessings. Here's the part of the story where I'm going. I was upset a little bit by that. I'm thinking, I go to India and all these guys want to get paid to bless me. I ain't doing that. The God that I know and loves me has all the money he wants, doesn't need any more. I don't have to pay for his blessing. He blesses me all the time. And as I'm standing there, I feel like somebody's looking at me. You know when somebody's looking at you? And I turn around. And on the other side of this open market area, cobblestone area, is this guru guy. Kind of looked like Sri Teshwar, kind of like, white hair, white beard. I mean, everybody looks the same to me. I'm going, what does this look? I'm going, my God, this guy looks just like, I'm imagining everybody's looking like that. So I turned away. Then I turned back. He's still looking at me. He's still looking. He's still doing this. And then he's putting his hands down behind his back. He's just watching me. This is going on 4, 5, 6 minutes. Could have been 10. I have no clue how long. But it's not uncomfortable. It's like love. I'm looking at love. I'm feeling it. And I feel no need to go up to him and do anything other than just give him an acknowledgement. And I turned around and I left. Turned around, he was still watching me, right? But I didn't feel that I was supposed to go connect with him because I felt the whole purpose was at that other level. Whatever it was, I was blessed. So my first trip to India was a whole bunch of stuff like that. It was just amazing, amazing stuff. Stuff that just drives you crazy. And it's like we'd come back out of the Himalayas and the traffic was backed up. You're coming down towards the Ganges River, right? The Ganges River. And everybody stops on this road, the freeway. They get out with their jugs of water and they hold up traffic to go down, scoop up a thing, put a cap on it and fill it up, then get in the car, then drive. So naturally the traffic's backed all the way up to the hills. So we're stopped in this traffic. And the lane going the other way, back towards the hills where we came, nobody on it. Once in a while we see somebody passing illegally going down the wrong side of the road. And all of a sudden we see this impatient bus driver, man, this guy's just barreling down the road. We see him coming down on the wrong side of the road. You can't see what's around the corner. Parked next to us was a farm tractor towing a cart full of sugar beets or something. And it had a bunch of people sitting on it. In other words, what these farmers do, they're driving down the road with their produce, but they're going to charge, 20 cents, 50 cents, whatever it is equivalent, right? Give them a ride. They'll give people a ride as they go, hop in, so they make a little extra, pay for their gas. So you had all these people sitting on the back of that. And I'm watching this guy on the top of that. And there's an old guy that's just staring at me. We're eyeball to eyeball, right? And next thing I know, I see this bus coming on the right side. And it pulls right in front of us because there's a semi truck coming the other way. It's going to be a head-on collision with the bus. So this guy pulls right in front of us and he hits this tractor. It jackknifes, and the guy that's sitting on top of that sugar beet pile flies up in the air. It makes a sound just like that. He comes down and lands flat on the asphalt. And he's motionless. And I see the bus driver, as soon as that traffic was clear on the other side, he backs up and he takes off, hit and run, and he's gone down, right? I jump out of the car and I go to this guy laying on the ground. I cuddle in my arms and I'm praying for this guy. And he's not breathing. There's no pulse. It's nothing. He's dead. And so my first thought is, because I used to be a lifeguard, I'm going to give him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. And I was going to give him some heart pumps, but I thought, he just fell pretty hard on, maybe something's broken in it. I don't know if I want to do that, but But I was seriously thinking about mouth to mouth. And then I looked at how dirty he was and how diseased looking he was. And the whole area, that part of India, AIDS was epidemic and tuberculosis and all these other things. And I'm thinking, do I have a right to endanger my life and take my life where I got a family to come back to, grandkids waiting to be raised? And do I have a right to do that, take that risk? If I was single, then, but I'm risking it for other people. And so I had this big battle going. I wanted to it. So I just gave him love. I put water on him, washed him. And I prayed to Babaji. I just offered my love. And the guy opens his eyes and he's just staring at me. And I gently put him down, put somebody's jacket under his head and everything. And I heard this noise and screaming and bloody murder. And I look up, they had caught the bus driver down a few car lengths down, right? They dragged him out of the bus and they were dragging him back to where this accident was at. And everybody that was in their car was getting out and hitting him. He must have got hit by 200 people. He was a bloody mess. And so what did I do? I gently set this guy down and I run into this mob and I pull people away from the guy and I stand in front of the guy trying to stop this mob violence. And all of a sudden I feel two arms around me that I can't move, being dragged away. It's my driver. And he says, "Peter, it's village justice. Stay out of it." He drags me away, right? But I go, and then a police officer, a military man or somebody was coming in uniform and he had an automatic weapon, And the guy goes, "Arrest me, arrest me, arrest me." And he practically put the handcuffs on himself, right? And they took him away. They were going to kill him. They were going to beat him to death. But I had so much compassion for the guy getting beat up, even though he did this. I was risking my own life. And it hadn't been for my driver, I don't think this mob would have let me to stop them. I think they would have did that. So the first trip to India was just lots and lots of stories like that. So I probably about 20 more stories like that on my first trip. But what happens is this: I went there looking for the guru and mountaintop experience, but I didn't find the guru that I was looking for until I went on YouTube years later. Because when I came back from that trip from India, I was so sick. Remember, I had the heart attack, right? And being a guy, well, how long do you wait months before you go to the doctor, right? Well, I had a heart attack. Okay. So anyway,
walk it off.
Yeah, walk it off. Well, so I come back.
Bill, before you go into this one, because I want to ask you, I got like probably 15 more minutes. Those stories are ridiculous. And I know in looking at your bio and some of the stuff, you have other stories of holy men in Vietnam, which sound incredible. You only kind of like breached a service on those, and I know you got like even like UFO, paranormal, near death, time travel, literally everyone. And man, I know that you have a new YouTube channel, so I want people to check that out. I think that'd be interesting if you like, each one, because there's so many, like your top 10, and then just start busting them down the line, each one, because I'll literally listen to every story as long as you want to go. But I want to make sure before, and finish this one, but what I want to get in there before, I want to make sure there's enough time for it anyway. With doing these things, I think that myself, as well as I've been looking for the holy men, and like, if Jesus is here, I want to find him. If Babaji is here, I want to find them. That's why I traveled to China to train with Shaolin monks, to see if they could actually do that superhuman stuff that I thought. If there's a guru in India that can disappear, reappear, if Life and Masters of the Far East is real, if Yogananda was legit, are these masters here now? And so what I want to ask you is, in your view, do you think that they're here? And from all of your experiences, what do you perceive as like God and the universe and this reality, and what would be useful for somebody to take home from these experiences? Because I think a lot of the Westerners, like we said, like, you're young and it starts out like, I'm going to go get these spiritual experiences and take them, and then I'm going to know something. But at age 50 or whatever, you're like, I don't know anything. And I was literally reflecting this weekend. I at David Lombaire's wedding as a Native American elder teacher. And I'm sitting and I was like, I do all these podcasts and I've traveled to all these different countries. I don't know anything. I was like, I don't even know what I'm doing. Like, is this helping me or anyone else? I don't know right now. And so you get to this humbling space. So I just want to ask you, like, what have you found that has been useful? And do you think that this stuff is real? And just like the biggest questions, like, what have you come to? And please finish the story too. But because I think that answer is going to be dove into properly as well. So I just want to make sure I squeeze it in.
We'll answer that. And I'm going to make the other, let's just end all those stories at that point. I'll leave you hanging. But when I came back was I had a lump on my spiritual eye. First trip to India, I come back and I got a lump, right? So I go to the doctor and they go, that's cancer. Operate immediately. 9 stitches, the spiritual eye. They removed a cancerous tumor from my spiritual eye. Now talk about getting a cleansing. You go to India seeking truth and cleansing and all that stuff. And you come back in your first few weeks back, you have cancer. Let me think about symbolism here. You have cancer removed from your spiritual eye. I don't know. I thought that was great at the time. My wife thought I was nuts. She goes, "You celebrate that?" I go, "Yeah, I'm not even wearing a bandage because I think the 9 stitches are kind of cool right on the forehead, right? There's 9 stitches. I mean, anyway."
That's amazing.
So,
well, and you're going to see it that way too. And your perspective of all these things was amazing. Like, each part of that story, I wanted to dive in, but let you finish it because I've had similar experiences in different ways of like close encounters with animals, near-death experiences, being in a place and like having that trust. But your perspective around all of it was just incredibly empowering. And like the cobra face to face, I wouldn't have been chill. I'm not afraid of snakes too bad, but if one is around my neck and looking at me, I'm gonna freak out, and it's gonna bite me right in the face. So you just had that reverence of relaxed attitude.
I'm telling you, it's a state of mind. For example, I haven't been comfortable with spiders. But when I was in India at this ashram in 2009 and had a sleep bag, and I opened it up at midnight or something to get into it, and I shine a flashlight in, and there must have been 75 to 100 different kind of spiders, creepy crawlies, that were in the sleeping bag. How that happened, I don't know. And so what did I do? I just opened it up, took my hand in the dark, and went all out. And they're on the floor, they didn't go anywhere, right? And I just went in there, went to sleep. I was in the same ashram, and I was focused on the rats that we had a rat problem at the time. And they were running up in up on the roof and everything, and I could hear them. And it was so cold. You could see your breath inside the building, right? And this rat jumps up and it goes under the blanket I'm on. And it's in the blanket, and it's on my stomach and everything. And one's on my neck, one's behind, and one's on my head. What do? I go, to hell with it. I'm going to sleep. Because I can fight these guys all night, right? As soon as I did that, they left. But it's mental attitude. I'll bet you that things that have happened to me, if you read my books, you'll say, oh, that's a bad thing. I don't even say that. I never say that. I've been blown up, shot up, been wounded, been in car crashes, helicopter crashes, motorcycle crashes. I've fallen off 2-story house, my house twice, fed on cement floor. I mean, everything you can think of. Quadruple heart bypass surgery, 12 heart attacks, 3 near-death experiences. The list goes on, right? I've been shot at, everything. Even had one in the heart in my chest protector. That's another whole story. We can talk about that the next time. So it's all just stuff. When I was in combat in Vietnam, explosions, bullets going. I'm talking just like I am right now. In fact, if I was telling you this story in the middle of the battlefield, you'd be going, okay, finish the story. We're getting shot at. Let's go. And I'd be still talking the story. You couldn't finish me talking. I'm going to talk. Stuff's going, explosions. I'm not there. I'm not mentally in the danger. I'm not there. So what I've learned is the only thing, we talked about this before we went on air, to me, the only thing that's real is love. And for these young people out there, meaning anybody younger than 73, that's young. For young people out there, if you're spending all your time looking for the perfect meditation, there's some great, Kriya Yoga is, way to go, right? Hamsa, all these other techniques. But it's not the tools that makes the great carpentry get done. It's the carpenter. same thing with meditation. You give a great meditator with great intentions and love a simple meditation technique, and he's going to go into samadhi. So people get so focused on doing. Let's leave it at that. So focused on doing. They're involved in the technique. When they get a question with the guru, what do they ask? Well, do I breathe this way? Do I hold my fingers this way? Do I imagine it up and down my spine? It's all technical questions. You're talking to God. If you're really looking at your guru is the right way, you're talking to God ultimately, if you believe that in your heart. Why do you got to ask anything? When I'm around my guru, I ask nothing. Nothing. I reached the point of going, because my guru is only going to give two kinds. He gives two pieces of advice. Everybody comes to him. I listen to him. He disguises it. Looks like different ways. But I got him. I said, look, it sounds like you're only giving two pieces of advice. He says, yeah, don't put me out of business. Yeah, that's what I do. He says, and he goes, I tell people, he tells people, do more Kriya Yoga, do more meditation, right? It's your karma. Deal with it. In other words, adjust your attitude. It's your karma, man. Deal with it. Move on. That's it. You can disguise it and say, do this, you can give it a half-hour advice and still come down to two things. Meditate and forget about it. Deal with it. It's yours. You earned it. It's yours. Unwrap the gift. Figure it out, and do it. So if I'd known what I know now, I don't know if I would have changed much of direction, because the journey itself was wonderfully interesting. And it gives me a background, a resume, let's say, for explaining things and sharing things with others. I'm not going to be around forever, but hopefully some of these stories that they will be, and people realize that, you know what, miracles still happen, but people aren't open to it. And I'll give you an example of that. My last trip to India, 2011, I'm at Yogaraj's ashram. I had just should have been a fatal heart attack. I was introducing him in Mumbai and stuff, and he was at the stadium. And anyway, he had a morning sunrise free workshop where he's teaching people how to do Surya, which is this energizing process from the sun, bringing sun into your body and everything. And I've heard it done hundreds of times and has a certain method. But I'm in the back aisle of this auditorium or this amphitheater, and I collapse. I have a heart attack. I'm laying down. In India, you're laying down and having a heart attack. Thousands of people around you, nobody does anything. They ignore you. He's having a heart attack. I'm just watching the guru. I'm serious. I'm down there dying, going, nobody even sees me. So the guru's doing his thing, and all of a sudden he stops. He can't see me from where he's at. No way he can see me. He's standing up, right? And I'm laying down. And so as everybody does this ridiculous thing, he says, I want everybody to visualize the power, healing power, the energy of the sun going into the heart chakra. And he goes through this visualization of the sun and the heart and the healing. And he goes on repetitively for a half hour. And everybody's going, this is not what it has in the book. This is finally, I'm getting better, stronger. Finally, I'm healed. I get up, and he goes from the stage, goes, be healed, come down. So I come down and walking across the stage, and there's only thousands of people. And he goes, how many times have you got to save your butt? I go, so you know what happened. So in the story. But anyway, so my last day there, I'm at the ashram. And I'm sitting there in the kitchen. I got my back to the kitchen door. And you're back again. We're talking about somebody looking at you. Somebody's looking at me. And I turn around, and there's Shirateshwar standing there. That's Yogananda's guru. And he's got his arms folded, and he has his arms behind his back. And I'm feeling it. And I'm going, well, I just had a major heart attack. I just got back from the ER, and I got to go home for surgery. So I'm thinking, well, maybe I'm getting delusional because I'm dying again, right? Getting ready for another near-death one. So I had about 5 people in the room. So I asked this woman from Sweden or must have been Sweden or Denmark, where country she was from. She was into yoga, the exercises and all that. And she was new to meditation. I said, you see anything? And she goes, you're crazy. I don't see nothing. What are you talking about? And somebody else that was with her, they didn't see anything. And I said, okay. And then this guy from Texas, young guy from Texas, he goes, Bill, He says, I see bright, shiny ball of light behind you, emanating a feeling of love. He says, I just feel love and light. And I said, good. So that's a guy who'd been meditating a long time. And then there was this other guy, Brian Yosefovich, a lawyer. So even lawyers are spiritual. Let's let the record show that. Sorry, Brian, wherever you're at. Friend. So I asked Brian, Brian, you see anything? And he says, oh, you could think I'm crazy. I said, no. What do you see? He says, I see Siwar Teshwar standing behind you with his hands folded behind his back, much like Gurnoff does when he's around you. I said, yes, that's what I see too. And I realized then that even though there was 5 people experiencing the same energy base with the same potential of seeing this, 2 saw exactly what it was. 1 saw the light and felt the love, and 2 others, nothing. Reminds you of all the stories about Christopher Columbus when he sailed into the Americas, when he got to the islands, 3 ships pulled in the harbor, and the natives there didn't see him sitting right in the harbor because they didn't believe it. Their minds didn't accept it. They didn't believe it. So they didn't see it. It's like, what? And I didn't believe that was possible until I watched some dumb TV show called Brain Games or something, where the University of UCLA did an experiment, and they took 30-some students, put them in a class, told them, your grade for this test is totally dependent on you getting the right answer. You better focus on it totally. This is going to be weighted really heavy on your final grade. You're supposed to observe these dancers. There's 4 dancers on stage. You see them, and they're dancing. You're supposed to count how many times they change partners. If you're right, you get an A, right? I'm going to ask you a question. If you get that question right, show you how much you've been concentrating on, you'll get an A. So it wasn't, they were invested. So they danced for about 4 minutes. He gets through and he goes, okay, who's got the right answer? And they got he says, no. How many of you saw the man in a gorilla suit dancing around each group? And then they laughed because they thought he was, and they showed the video to the group, and nobody in that group had seen a guy in a gorilla suit dancing around all four dancers, couples, and then exit the stage. Not one person had seen it. They weren't expecting it. Their mind wiped it out. So young people, meaning children, toddlers, 4, 5, 3, 2, they're very close from their journey from heaven. They still know angels. They still got angel dust on their breath. They know and they're aware. And when they say, oh, I used to ride horses, Grandpa, or I used to fly helicopters, they're telling the truth. They did. They have some past life thing. Or if they talk to ghosts, or they see angels, believe them. So I've also learned that we're not always a teacher. If we think we're so brilliant, we're always a teacher. You're always the guru, you're always the teacher. We are always the student. We learn from absolutely everybody, and everything in our life teaches us something. So you learn from a child, you learn from a homeless person, you learn from a CEO, you learn from YouTube videos. You flick through there and why am I watching this video? And all of a sudden you discover something in that video, 2 minutes of it or 30 seconds, you go, wow, the rest of it forget, but I needed to hear that, right? So I'm finding when people find my YouTube videos, I get those kind of responses like, I was going through this and then I found your video and boom, it just answered my question. Well, I didn't know they were coming and I didn't do it on purpose for them, but the universe directs people. I don't help anybody. I don't heal anybody. I don't help anybody. I'm here. I'm a willing participant. I'm a willing conduit. But if somebody encourages people, oh, you've healed me. I've watched your video. I'm healed. No, you healed yourself. Your belief in what I'm selling, love, Babaji, whatever. But ultimately, the one healing guru at all levels is within us. We are the healer. We are the true guru. The only trouble is we're deluded. You tell people, oh, listen to your heart, listen to your intuition. Well, I'm telling you, don't do that because there's people out there, they're crazy and they think, they're, you know what I mean? that they Napoleon in the last lifetime. In this lifetime, they're going to, do all kinds of crazy things. So no, don't listen to it. You have to have wisdom to be able to. You have to be wise enough to listen to your intuition. So it's a fine line between listening to intuition and listening to crazy voices within you. Yesterday I watched a YouTube video. What's that guy, Sadhu Guru or something?
Yeah, Sadhguru.
He gave an example, and somebody was talking about how come you need a guru or something. I don't know what the question was, but his answer was brilliant. He says, you got a nose right in the center of your lips. He says, but if you didn't brush your teeth for 2 or 3 weeks, everybody in the room would know. They would smell your breath. But you, right under your own nose, would never know. So that was his idea of how come you need somebody else to tell you? Because you can't see your own faults. You need somebody to hold a mirror up for you. So my advice to people who are seeking, trying to find God alone is like trying to get to the top of Everest without a Sherpa. You need a Sherpa. You need a guru. You need somebody that's been to the top. And you have to have trust and faith because you need the blessing. You can only do so much. You need that extra blessings. So trying to find God on your own can get very dangerous. And that's why some really very spiritual people went kind of off the whackers here. Who's that guy, Osha, that had that place up in Oregon and had all the guns and everything? And I mean, he didn't have a guru, he even admitted it. No guru that didn't, when he reached samadhi, he didn't have a guru to slap around and say, hey, go sweep the floor, chop firewood, gather water. No big deal. Just live your life. He reached samadhi, it was like he had all this uncontrolled Kundalini energy. You need somebody there to just say, whoa, buddy, go within, relax. Because without guidance, it's like trying to get from point A to point B without a map or GPS. You wander. So yeah. So get a Sherpa, guru, guide, teacher, master, whatever it is that you need. You need somebody. If you can't find a living master, then go for one through his books, through his teachings. But follow someone or something or some line. And realize that you're not always a teacher. I don't care how elevated you are, and you can teach karate and you can teach Kriya Yoga, and people think you're this wondered person. People think that you're spiritual. It doesn't matter what anybody thinks. You're a student. I'm a student. You're a student. Just like everybody else. Every day, lessons are gifted to me. I learned a lot from some people that most people would never talk to. I mean, they'd say, oh, that's crazy, man. But even a clock that doesn't work is right twice a day, right? So sometimes crazy people say something that isn't, Just because I say I'm paranoid doesn't mean that nobody's following me, right? Well, that's true. So there's a world out there that's waiting for us to grab it. Don't wait for tomorrow. Well, I'll be happy when my ship comes in, when I win the lotto, when I get a better job, when I meet the right person, and when I get in shape, when I get my health back, whatever. Forget that. If you're not happy now, you're not going to be happy tomorrow. It's not your circumstances that create your happiness. Happiness is created by your attitude. If you're still breathing, there's a reason why you're here. You have a duty to serve and to love, to give, not get. Everybody's out there, even when they pray. I watch people, when they pray, oh, please save my grandma. She's only 98 years old, but she's sick. Don't let her die, God. Like God doesn't know exactly what her time is, right? Come on. People go to God or whoever they pray to, like they're going to Santa Claus. Lord, I need a new Mercedes-Benz. Lord, I need a new job. I need my health. I need peace. I need enlightenment. Even that is a want. I want enlightenment. Well, it's a noble thing to want, but that's wanting something. When you pray and go to God, it should be, I love you, God. I don't care what you give me. Give me nothing. I'm here. Let's spend the time together. Divine romance. That's all it's about. So when you go to meditate, you're meditating to give God something which he doesn't have already. Your free will, giving him love. And you're not asking for anything in return. And you can meditate for 20, 30 years and nothing happens. Granddaughter's calling me. If you meditate for 20 years, if you're still asking for stuff and you're still seeking stuff, you're not going to get it. You stopped at the door. You know, the meditation will take you up to the stairs to the doorway. But to get in the door, you need love. And love takes all these other definitions, you know, compassion, service, you know, all that rest of that stuff. But too many people are just, I want out of here. I hear these young people, this is my last lifetime. I'm out of here. Yeah, you know, I'm going, yeah, okay, fine. All right. And I'm looking at them and they're still doing, yeah, man, I'm out of here this lifetime, man. You know, I'm not hooked on weed. I can stop smoking marijuana anytime I want. How long have you been smoking it? Well, it says I've been 14. How old are you now? 75. Well, you know, I can quit anytime I want. Anyway, so still looking for something. You still want things. When you wake up one day and the only thing you want is divine love. You want to just give love. St. Francis said it well. St. Ignatius Loyola said it well. It's always about giving, not getting, listening, not talking. There's one for me, right? Put that on your list. And so, but it's always about giving. It's not about getting. I mean, if getting was the answer, that means the richest man in the room should be the happiest because he gets the most. He gets all the perks, right? He gets the cars, he gets the babes, he gets everything. He's got. I'm going, no. It's all an inner game. So when you learn the inner game, that's all just about love. And then when somebody does you wrong, oh my God, I'm never going to talk to this person again. I can never forgive him. Who are you? Are you better than God? That you can't forgive something? God can forgive him, but I can't. No. Or the worse than that, God can forgive me, but I don't. I can't forgive me. So you're really saying you're better than God. You got a higher level of, you know, taste. You got to forgive yourself. I don't care if you've been an alcoholic, a drug addict, you've been in wars, you've done crazy things, you're in jail, you've been adulterous, you wake up now, this moment, you say, you know, I am not that. That's why I got a little issue sometimes with 12-step groups. They're wonderful. I hope they continue to grow and serve because they're a God-given thing. But I think if you're in it long enough, you have to realize every day when you wake up and you go to a meeting and you say, I am a druggie, I am an alcoholic. It's like saying, I am a sinner. Be careful what you put after I am. You're just reaffirming that. Right? That's like on I make these dog tags. I make these dog tags and I give them out to vets and people. It says, I am love, you know, because I spent some time with Dr. Emoto. The guy did the water crystals, you know, and he puts love on the bottle of water and it changes it. I thought, well, since we're mostly water, so I put I love on this dog tag. And then it says in Latin, basically in Latin, it says, love conquers all. Spirit warrior, chaplain, I give these out. But basically it's about I am love. And if that's hanging around your neck every day, you just labeled yourself as I am love. I'm not a sinner. Some people sin sometimes. They're not sinners. They're lovers. And since we're all God, we're all one, we're all coming and going from the same source. We are the source. And as soon as we realize that we are one, then this whole play is over for us. Just erase us out of this play. Oh, Bill, he never existed. He's not here. He woke up. He's awakened. He's become one. So people keep thinking, well, I reached samadhi, I reached this. Like they're out of here. No, you just go to another body. As long as you keep incorporating new bodies, whether it's an astral body, casual body, physical body, a rainbow body, body of light, it's all bodies because there's still self-identity. you're still identifying with you as a thing, as something. When you no longer identify, there's no need for a body. So anybody you've met, it's walking around, guru or otherwise, says, hey, no, you still got a body. It's, so you're still working just like I am. So we're all still working at it. Now, some people are farther up the mountain. Some are standing on Everest. They're waving the flag. They're out of breath, but there they are. Some people are still in the valley. But we're all connected with that rope that the Sherpa gave us. And that Sherpa, the guide, be it Babaji or whoever, Jesus, whoever you follow, you just keep pulling on that rope. And you're never going to get lost, because if you fall, you're on the rope. So I got a couple of rules with people that work with me where I help. And I always tell people, I said, you know how you feel when I help you? Yeah. I said, it's your job now. And I said, and you sense this. You don't judge it. You just sense it. You just hope you don't look for somebody that's less than you or more than you. But intuitively, you go to people for advice you feel have a little more wisdom than you do, or a little more evolved. And by the same token, there's people that are looking at you as somebody evolved from where they're at. How dare you not help them? So there's this reach up and reach down thing. You reach up. Your job is to reach up to the next guy at the next level. I'm going to learn something from this guru, right? I'm reaching up. How dare I not reach down to help somebody else? Not judging them. You're not doing it, deliberately with a judgment. You just help people. The universe will send you people. Realize that everybody wants to be loved. Everybody wants to be hugged. Everybody wants to be heard. And if you go through life, given those three things, you'll be a beloved soul. Alma, is that her name? She goes out and she hugs everybody. Everybody wants a hug, right? What's not to like? But there's other ways to do it. It's like you're traveling, you're in your car, you pull up the corner, and there's this guy, give me money, I'm for whatever. And so you don't want to look at him, I don't want to reach for change. I can't give to all these beggars. Instead of just saying, Jesus, bless that man. Bless him. Or just saying to him, I love you, mentally, not making a show out of it. It's all done silently. Send that man love. Visualize love around him. Later on that night when you go to bed, you remember that guy? Send him some love. So if everybody's in this game just for themselves, we're in trouble. America first, Russia first, Canada first. Even on the national plane, you have to look after everybody. Because if your poor brother's down there ain't getting taken care of, they're going to get angry and mad. And then you got a problem you got to deal with, right? Spread it out. Spread your love out. There's room for everybody in the tent. And there's room for all faiths. People think, well, Jesus was, no, I tell people, look, Jesus, I love Jesus. I worship Jesus. Well, I tell you what, Jesus wasn't a Christian. Buddha wasn't a Buddhist. Krishna wasn't whatever he was, right? None of these, they were just spiritual beings. And when you go to heaven, God ain't looking for a passport. Oh, you're not Christian? You ain't getting in. Step over there. This whole thing is about living a life of love and service. Now, some of my friends are going to hear this and watch this and say, where's this guy? Reverend Bill, where's he at? Where is this guy? You can't be everything to everybody. And I'm telling you this, God is. God is everything. God is everybody. Therefore, God is all religions. How you choose culturally, emotionally to worship God is your choice. I'm not going to try to change it. I feel comfortable as a Christian, great. I'm not going to shove it down somebody else's neck. That guy wants to be a Hindu, okay. If he wants to be a Buddhist, okay. No problem. I don't think God has any problem with that at all. Anyway, these are the kind of things you say and always get you in trouble, so I know you'll get some comments on this, like, who does this guy think he is?
No, man. Those are fine with me. I think a lot of it, like with the way people are going, the podcast is in religion and spirituality, but I think it's so important, especially in today's day, to be tolerant of other people's view. And I think it is the same thing. Worshiping God through whatever path you're taking is ultimately the same ideal. But when I went to the Parliament of World Religions, what I noticed anyway was that some of the religions create a consequence and reward for the afterlife. And I think that's when things get a little bit tricky. I don't personally agree with that view, but if you do, go for it if you're wanting to connect to a higher power in your own way. So I'm definitely on board with that, but it can, people have certain views. But man, all of this, I could listen to you share stories all day. I want to go literally just one by one of like the Vietnam and we like UFO or Holy Man or whatever. I'm going to invite again people to check. What's your YouTube channel? I want, before we wrap up, because I got to run, but where can people find more about you? Where can people reach out? Where can people dive more into your teachings and stories and books? I want to make sure you get that in there as well.
Okay, they can go to my website. It's really easy. And on my website, I got YouTube videos and I got my books and stuff. So if they go to www, which is, I guess, everybody's, right? Rev, REVBILLMCDONLD. In other words, Rev Bill McDonald, all one word, .com. So RevBillMcDonald.com. You go there, you can find links to my videos, you can find stuff to my books. And yeah, for some people, especially my veteran community out there, they might enjoy reading my autobiography. And it takes them through Vietnam and all that stuff, and it takes them to levels. And then this was my 10-year quest back and forth to India and everything, and we just scratched the tip of the iceberg on that today. I mean, literally, that was the first journey, and I left out a lot. But the good thing about books is you can take your time, you can read it, you can stop, you can reflect. But if people want to get a hold of me, they can get me on Facebook, Rev Bill McDonald, send me a friend request. And email, if they want to email me, you can get that off my website because there's too much that I'm never going to write it all down. I'm going to remember write it down. But so Rev Bill McDonald, REVBILLMCDONLD, just like the hamburger, right? And but I am not the sun. I'm only a shadow. I'm only a voice. I'm not trying to represent myself as anything more than just somebody that's having some interesting stuff going on. I'm trying to inspire you, cheer you on spiritually. I'm more of a spiritual cheerleader. I don't want followers. I don't want, I'm not looking for that. I'm looking for people to follow their own path, their own heart, find their guru, find their teacher. If it's Jesus, great. If you're going to be a Catholic or you're going to be a Protestant, whatever it is, whatever you're doing, don't go about it sloppy. Just do it. Get into it full way. If you're seeking God, then go to church, go to the temple, do whatever you're supposed to do, but follow it. If that's the path you're going to take, don't be a hypocrite. Do it. I respect it. I respect all paths, all true paths. Now, if you got an organization you belong to that abuses people and there's craziness, well, that's for your judgment. Take a look at it, because there's some things going on out there that aren't right, and you got to take a look at that. But I'm talking about the basic stuff here. So, again, spirituality is different than religion. Religion is more about dogma, beliefs, ceremonies. Got to do a puja, got to do a mass, got to do the rosary, whatever it is. Something, and this is going to sound terrible, but if you just prayed to God with your own heart, didn't know anything, it's going to be received. You don't have nothing special. You don't have to have a special man tell you that, okay, now you can do this because I give you the holy words to read. I think God listens to children with their simple words. It's the heart. So many paths to God. But if you're going to follow religion, follow religion. I mean, be it. Be the epitome of that. If you're supposed to do it, there's progress can be made there. There's a path. You've defined a path. Basically, your religion is your guru then. Follow it. And if somebody else doesn't believe like you, let it go. Come on. That's all these new religions form, because somebody else goes, oh, I can't be with the Catholic Church. Now I got to be a Methodist or a Protestant or a Lutheran or whatever. It's like, what? Were they all following Christ? Now you got 500 denominations of Christianity at least, right? So it's like, same thing with Buddhism. There's many denominations, and Muslims, there's many denominations, and you go down the list. Everybody's got a different idea. You know what? Let them all be. Doesn't matter. If it feels comfortable for you, great. If the suit fits, wear it. Anyway, so I probably I could go on, so you got to stop me at some point.
Well, yeah, no, I agree, and your stories are incredibly captivating, and I know we only touched the tip of the iceberg because I had to edit some of your bio. It was longer, and I looked through some of the videos you're posting and all the work in your book. It's really, really incredibly fascinating stuff, and I think for people, what I would hope that they get from this is that your perspective is powerful and your experiences are real to you, and you're forging your own path and sharing what you've learned with other people. But it's not common. People don't believe in miracles, really. They don't, we don't see the world in the way that you're viewing it, and you're getting a direct experience that's very fascinating. It's different than the norm, and people can look at that and they can experience it and learn from your experience, and then just take from it whatever they wish. So I just thank you for walking the path and sharing your incredibly fascinating stories. And if people want to learn more, I invite them to check out your book and your channel. I know there's more, but is there anything else that you want to leave the listeners with before we close it up?
Let me plug something here, because I'm out there working with veterans with my Spiritual Warrior Ministries, and I have other chaplains out there, all faiths. I'm covering the whole thing here. And we're dealing with veterans who've had near-death experiences. We're dealing with veterans who've had spiritual experiences in combat. Like they had an angel encounter on the battlefield, or they've seen their dead mother there talking to them, or whatever. They've had miracles, actual miracles. And the military doesn't believe or subscribe to miracles. So this guy comes out, he has a battlefield death, right? He comes back and says that, he had a near-death experience, then they think he's psychotic and they drug him up. And so we've had some bad treatment here for some vets. So my organization is looking into that. International Association of Near-Death Studies has invited me this year to be a keynote speaker outside of Philadelphia, a place called King of Prussia, which I didn't even know was a city, but apparently it's a city, by Valley Forge. And they got a conference going on there, and we got the workshop. It costs to go to this thing, but the workshop for the veterans is free. That's open to anybody. Veteran can come, they contact us, we'll tell them how to go there. So we're accepting, and I got a bunch of people helping me with that workshop, and we're going to be letting these people know that spiritual things happen to people, even in the military. You're not crazy, and you don't need drugs for it. So we're working with that. So that's my big passion right now. And believe it or not, that's a big audience out there, more than you can realize. And they're being ignored because all the new age people, we don't want nothing to do with vets, the vets, So me working with veterans is a very narrow, I can't think of anybody else that's doing like I'm doing. So I'm taking them down a different path. I used to chase all the new agers. Oh, I want to do it that all these guys, and then they go, "Oh, you're a veteran. You were in the war." Oh, and they pass all these judgments and stuff, and it's like you can't be a spiritual person if you were a warrior. And I'm going, really? What happened to Saint Ignatius and Saint Francis? They were all veterans, and et cetera, et cetera. He's go down the list, and Krishna had Arjuna out there in the battle fighting the war, right? I mean, where'd you come up with this idea? So they were orphaned by all these spiritual seekers, by judgments. So I'm now opening the door and saying, no more judgment. You got a place to go. And you don't have to change your religion to go there. Be whatever religion you want to be. We're happy. But we'll talk spiritual with you. So that's my big thing now. So I'm giving these dog tags out to guys across the country. I got books I give away a lot of my books. Every time I sell a book, when I sell these books, it's not a very good business plan. What I do is if I sell a case of books, then I can give away 2 cases. It's like my wife and friends go, how do you make any money on that? And I go, yeah, it's not what it's about. It's about the message. I can't take any money from this. But if you can afford to pay for it, I want you to pay, because then I can give it to the guy that can't, especially veterans or somebody said, I just sent a couple of books to a guy in prison here just a few weeks ago. So they're not going to go out and buy it. Here you go. You got nothing on you read it in jail, especially in jail. You got nothing else to do but read, right? So read. So that's my mission. It's spend the time that I got left trying to open up people's hearts and minds to be tolerant, non-judgmental. If somebody's watched this through to this far, they're probably with me. But the other people I probably lost after the first 20 minutes as I start talking about gurus and stuff, I lost some people. And then I started losing more people in this and watching this that said, what do you mean all religions are good? All pathways lead to God. It's always the individual. There's some enlightened beings that are of all religions, and there's some terrible, evil people in all religions. No monopolies. So it is what it is.
Yeah, and I just want to say, working with veterans is so incredibly important, and I just think it's very powerful work to share that. And it's interesting because it's veterans, like war and other. I'm trying to figure out. It could be just war that I'm thinking of, but I feel like there's other big categories where people they don't think about spirituality, they don't think about a connection, but like war is almost the most spiritual thing in a way, because people are dying. And that's, you're going to death. And so you're meeting your maker. It's, you know what I mean? You're not going to have that same, it might not be the most spiritual act. Like, I don't agree with killing. And you said something in the beginning, because I have, reservation with, like, I use the example of like changing your reality. Like, you could choose to go to war and have people shoot at you, or you could choose to, go to a soup kitchen or become an accountant. They're going to be two very different realities. You get to choose that. And, but you said something at the beginning was just like, I went to war. It wasn't something that I necessarily agreed with. It was listening to one government and another government. And that's the issue here, I think, on the planet, is we need to figure out this governmental stuff, sending people to war. If you want to make that choice, then sure, that's your choice. Then, especially in America, they go to war, and then they have no friggin' support for them. First of all, don't send them, is my stance. Stop sending people to war. So what there's like a quote that says like, letting children fight old men's battles, and this has been happening since the dawn of time. Like, we got to stop murdering people on mass scales. And if you do go to war, you need to be supported in a spiritual way, because if you kill someone or you witness that, PTSD or whatever, that's going to change how you view reality. And that's where it can open up, and you need some help transitioning and kind of alchemizing that intense experience, so it's a whole thing. So I'm just happy that you're out there providing some sort of support, because it's really important.
Let me talk about this just briefly. War. It's like, thou shalt not kill. But if a police officer shoots this guy that's getting ready to slit a woman's throat, or he's got a gun to some kid's head, he's going to pull the trigger, he shoots that guy, he kills him. Thou shalt not kill. He just killed that guy. This other surgeon's trying to save your life, and he's doing heroic surgery on you, but he makes a slight error. His hand, he cupped or something, his hand cut your artery, and you die. He killed you. Thou shalt not kill. What was his intentions? He was trying to save your life, right? Somebody else goes into battle. He's right next to you. He's shooting because if he doesn't get you coming, you're going to shoot his buddy next to him. And that's his friend. He can't sit there and say, let's see, what should I do philosophically? And you get killed over here. That's wrong on his part. He has a duty. So he shoots. He doesn't hate you. He's shooting you, the enemy, the so-called enemy. He's not the enemy. You're the opposition. You're somebody coming trying to shoot him. When you take, and you're not fighting the enemy, but you see the enemy is a reflection of yourself. I prayed for everybody I shot at in Vietnam. I prayed when I shoot gun. I was praying for everybody. There was no hate. Never. I knew they were just following their duty and their dharma just like I was. But I had to protect people on my helicopter. No time for a philosophical discussion with them. Hey guys, let's stop and talk. Yeah, Ho Chi Minh sucks. LBJ's terrible. Nixon's bad. No, can't do that. Even Arjuna argued with Krishna over this whole issue. A great battle, right? And what was he told? He was fighting his brothers, family, cousins, people. relatives. He was told he had a duty. And the people on the other side had their duty, even though they may not have believed in the cause. That thing was being played out for a different reason, and we don't even know what it was. There's what's happening in the real world, and then there's things that are behind the scenes. Like when you have a war, it changes things. And sometimes that war keeps you from going to, like dropping the atomic bomb in Japan. Terrible thing. We haven't dropped a bomb since, have we? It woke us up to, I mean, it's been 75 years. And we've had it. And the Russians have had it. And all these other people have had it. And nobody's exploded one. The terror of that and the images and what all it did, the sacrifice of all those people, shook up society spiritually. Because even though we were the good guys, so-called good guys, we were the good guys and we dropped an atomic bomb, not on a military base, a fleet of ships, on a city. It's like bombing San Francisco, right? So that was a tough one. It saved lives. And then you got to ask, the old argument was, well, it saved both sides' lives. Maybe it did. And if it saved 1 million lives on each side, was it a bad thing? So there's all these levels where you start judging things. You don't know the whole thing. We don't know, with all the atrocities that happened during World War II, it also created great heroes, inspired men. You know, those people that survived the death camps, wrote books, you know, and loving people and forgiveness. And Israel became a country. Now, if the Jewish nation or the Jewish people hadn't gone through what they went through, the empathy there for them worldwide would not have been so great that would have never got Israel. Not our lifetime. So that prompted Israel's birth. So you go, is that good? So then you start judging, is that good or bad? So you can't judge these things good or bad. And so a soldier in battle, this guy firing his weapon he hates the enemy. He hates the Arabs. He hates the Vietnamese. He hates whatever it is he's fighting. That's a different level than the guy over here that's only fighting to save his buddy and himself, or it's his duty. Different level, different karmic consequences. Just like you're driving down the road and out of the dark, there's a kid, you run him over and you kill him. Wow, you feel terrible, man. You killed a kid. This other guy driving down the road, he's drinking alcohol. He's drugged out of it. He plows through the kid, right? Is that the same karma for both? Same result? One inattention and the other booze or alcohol, drugs. So you can't sit back and judge war is about killing. It's murder. There's a difference between murder and there's degrees of killing. And these same people that I've seen that are against war, oh, it's killing. Yet they're pro women's reproductive rights, which means they're in favor of abortion. And I'm going, you take a 7-month-old kid out of there and it's got hands and feet and heartbeat and eyes and it's thinking and whatever, and you kill it, well, it's a woman's right. And you're against the death penalty for this guy that's killed 20 people and he's in jail? Yeah, I'm against death penalty. But you're for abortion and you're against the soldier. At least get yourself in one box, please. You know, be against all killing or not. You know what the point is? The point is we're killing people every day. There's more people killed in abortions every year than we lost in World War II, Korea, World War II, and Vietnam in America. It is beyond all our military battles, losses, beyond it. Nobody wants to hear that. I don't want to put these women in jail, but I'm looking at it thinking, don't get righteous on me. You know, like, hey, you're a veteran, you're out there in war. And I'm going, well, we got people in this country in war every day killing infants, even though they're in the womb. And they can come up with all kinds of righteous things to justify that. And they do. It's their right. There's no soul in there yet. How do they know any of that? How do they know there's not a soul in there? How do they know that life didn't start with inception? How do they know that's not a living, breathing person in there that feels pain, suffering, thinks? People are not ready for that conversation. Or they're so far this way, anti-abortion, that they don't want to talk to this group that's so far this way on abortion, and nobody's talking to each other, and they're condemning each other, judging both each other. And that's a war that's terrible. But when you got to respect life, I respect life. And I was in a war. I respect life. It's just more so even than the guy that wasn't in a war. I'm telling you, I really do. I value it. And I see the value every day when I wake up and I'm still alive and I got grandchildren and children. And, I love them all. So I don't want to judge them. And like I said, I lost the rest of your audience on the abortion issue. I know that already because they got this far, the abortionists are going, hey, I have a right to do that. And I'm going, I don't want to put you in jail. I think that's terrible. But I want to give you some alternatives. And there's a lot of people out there looking to adopt children. And there is contraception. Come on. Abortion should not be a form of contraception. So there you go. Going down another alley that going to get mugged.
Well, you definitely stirred the judgment box. I think the important piece in that is the judgment of what we're doing. It's easy to judge a lot of different things, and to learn not to is very challenging, because a lot of those things, I was like, I could go into it on like 5 of those things you said. I feel a different way on a lot of that, but that's okay. It's just letting someone do that and have an experience, and that's okay. But I could go down all these rabbit holes with you all day. Unfortunately I gotta jump off. I got another meeting, but what I wanted to say is just thank you for your work and the veteran thing. And you have 2 other volunteer organizations. You do a lot. A lot of it is of service, and you're actively making an impact out there. So I just want to thank you for your work and what you're sharing and what you're putting out there. And I appreciate you coming on the show. Is there anything else you want to say before we close out?
All my opinions
There's some rabbit holes.
are mine and not necessarily the host of this station. And I pass no judgment on anybody. It sounds like I did, but I don't. I'm not a crusader, but I do pray for people, and I do pray for love. And I'm tired of everybody taking sides. And that issue is a huge issue in this country, and people taking sides on it. And it's like you're evil if you're an abortionist, and if you're super crazy liberal if you're the other way. And it's like, no. We're all human beings. Everybody's doing what they think is right. And I'm not in charge of the government, because just because I think something's right or wrong doesn't make it right or wrong.
Agree. Yep. And that's the strong suit, because we definitely have polarizing opinions, and that's why we need tolerance. Like you shared at the beginning, people have very strong views one way or another on very, subjects that are very charged, that create a lot of emotion and a lot of belief and a lot of certainty. So tolerance is incredibly important, especially when facing a lot of the challenges that we have as a society, as individual preferences, and how we navigate this world. So I agree with that as well. So thank you so much for coming on the show. Your website one more time so people can find that.
RevBillMcDonald.com.
Awesome. Reverend Bill, it's been a treat. I'm so excited about more of your stories. I know that we got like two fractions of like infinite rabbit holes, but we'll be in touch, man. I wish I could go longer, but thank you so much for coming on the show, and I appreciate everybody for listening.
Okay. God bless.
Okay. Take care. See ya. Peace.